Okay, we're out here. And you know what we're doing today? We're talking about the LA Comic-Con and meeting Christina Ricci. Today I went to the LA Comic-Con. It was packed, it was wild. I got to meet Christina Ricci and it was beautiful and amazing and awesome, and I'm super excited to share with you my experience. Okay, here's the deal. They said that she was doing autographs from like 10:30 until 2. I want to say 2. And I purchased the selfie with her. I did not get an autograph. It was the same price as an autograph. And the whole thing was expensive. So like I had to pick and choose what I was doing. So we get there. I'm walking up, I see her line, I'm like, oh, her line's not very long. Like, okay, cool. And her line lane was like empty. There was pretty much nobody in it. So I assumed that like that was the exit lane. And so I assumed like the line next to her, the line to go and actually see her. So we stand there and I'm like, oh, this isn't bad at all. Like we're gonna be able to make it in time before she leaves to do the Addams Family panel. And the girl in front of us was like, the line starts back towards the wall. So we go back towards the wall and we're standing in this line, and I assume this is the Christina Ricci line, right? But then I start to wonder, okay, maybe this is just like a line to kind of corral people and to keep the space open. So like once that line started to go forward, like they would just go and follow whichever artist they wanted to meet. So we're waiting this line and it's like 20 minutes, I don't know. And someone comes up with like a megaphone and is looking at our line and is like, Leah Thompson, you know, the mother from Back to the Future, who was sitting next to Christina Ricci. She's like, Leah Thompson's about to leave for her photo op, and saying, oh, she'll be back for 3 more hours to do autographs. Because that's the thing, like online, on the app, it kind of made it seem like Christina Ricci was only doing autographs until 2. Then she had the panel. And it didn't say if she was actually going to come back to do any more autographs. So, like, I was like, I had to get the autograph then. Or I could have been SOL, basically. So we're in this line, and the woman's saying that. And the person in front of us, like, asks the woman something, because she has, like, a Funko Pop. She's, like, trying to get it signed. And I didn't hear that conversation, but, like, as the woman was standing there, I was like, Christina Ricci? Like, is this the line for Christina Ricci? And the woman was like, oh, she's about to go. Like, and she's pre-sale only. And I was like, I have pre-sale. And she was like, oh, you go up there. Like, she's about to go. Like, you better hurry up. And I was like, what? Like, okay. So we exit that line really fast. And I, like, run up to her line. And it's still the same. It's like the line next to it is busy and her line is empty. And there's, like, this little table, like, in the middle of, like, the line. And I start walking up. And this guy is like, pre-sale. And I'm like, I got pre-sale. I'm doing a selfie. And I see the table and it's got all of her photos and stuff. And I'm like, this line was empty that whole time. Which, who's not going to see Christina Ricci? Period. First of all. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked that her line was A, not busy at all. And B, that I was stuck sitting in a fake line for 20 minutes because some random chick told me that that's the line. Because I guess she was assuming that I wanted to be Leah Thompson's line, which I did not. And it was so rushed. Like, it was so rushed. It was super quick. And the guy was, like, scanning my QR code and giving me, like, a paper ticket. And then, like, I'm starting to walk up. There's nobody else there. And Christina's, like, getting her stuff ready to, like, leave. And there's this other guy there. And he's looking at me like, do you have a ticket? And I'm like, yeah. I got a selfie ticket. And this woman takes it. And the guy's looking at me, and then Christina looks at me, and she's, like, confused, because she's like, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I'm supposed to go somewhere else. Like, they didn't tell her that I was, like, that she had one more person. So I felt so bad. And I just started, like, apologizing to her. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's like, oh, no. It's okay. She's like mid-shuffle of like getting her stuff ready to go. And the guy's like, do you want to do this real quick? And she just looks so flabbergasted and unsure of like what she's supposed to be doing. I just felt so bad. And so she like walked out from around the table, and like I give my phone to my cousin, you know her as Jelly Bean. If you know, you know. And I also gave her this camera too. And the woman who took my ticket from me, like, yanked my phone out of Jellybean's hands.
Oh, you're taking it?
And, like, set up just a horrible shot of us. Like, I do not like how I look in this photo. But you know what? Christina looks amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, stunning. Which I feel like she would at any angle. The girl is gorgeous. Like, she's a goddess among humans, okay? And she's so tiny. She's so tiny. She's so teeny tiny. So I look so massive next to her. So yeah, this woman like takes this picture of us, takes like 4 pictures. They all basically look the same. I'm so glad I have live feature on my phone, so it's a video as well. And I didn't get to talk to her. I didn't get to talk to her except to apologize to her for, you know, taking up this very last moment where she was supposed to be leaving. And I felt very bad about making her like have to take one more photo with another person. But she was so sweet and gorgeous and wonderful, but it went by so fast. It was like boom, 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 pictures and done. I didn't get to ask her about Cursed or Casper or Afterlife or Yellow Jackets or mermaids. And that's the thing, like before going to this, I kept racking my brain, like, what am I going to say to her? What am I going to say to her? I can't think of what concisely to say that I want to say. Like, what do I say? Which is interesting because turns out I didn't get to say anything other than I'm sorry, forcing you to stay while you were supposed to be leaving. I was so mad at that woman who told me to go stand over there. So I could have actually had a much better experience because she didn't have anybody there. She was still waiting. She wasn't ready to leave yet. I could have strolled casually up to her table, chit-chatted, had a nice selfie with her. That's the experience that I should have had and I could have had if that random person didn't tell me to go sit somewhere else. I'm really bummed. It really bummed me out. This is the first convention I've gone to in years, and conventions were such a big part of my life for a really long time, and I'm just really sad that this was the experience I got to have. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to have met her. I think it was a very pleasant interaction, except for me feeling sorry and then me bummed out by how fast it went. I just wanted to tell you about my experience. After that, we ended up going to the Addams Family panel. I filmed the entire thing in a mass crowd of people, so sorry in advance for the quality of that, in hopes that you appreciate watching it and experiencing it like I did.
We ready to get a little weird up in here? Then there is no time to waste. I am so honored to bring out the cast of the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. First up, Lurch, Carl Stroiken. Gentlemen, Pugsley himself, Jimmy Workman. I think it's safe to say everybody's favorite day of the week, Wednesday, Christina Ricci. I've got some agents out there trying to figure out what Uncle Fester's up to right now. That might be a mystery we have to solve later, but here's one mystery we don't have to wait to solve. Who's ready for some Morticia? The matriarch of the Addams Family, Angelica Houston. Thank you all for joining us here today. What a reunion indeed. I want to take things back to when you were first making this movie, because getting everybody together really feels special, especially when the Addams Family is such an iconic family that we all look up to in our own ways. I want to know, what was the feel on set? Was there a family feel for you when you were making this movie?
Pretty bonded, and everybody, Angelica and Raul and Carl and Kristen, they were all so kind to us as, you know, we were kids. They were so kind to us, and I know, you know, as spent hours in your trailer learning things from you and asking a million questions. Wanting to drive, yes.
Golf carts that actually got crashed in Paramount. A few times.
A couple of golf cart incidents on set.
Yeah.
Who was the worst? And when I say the worst, who was the most adventurous with the golf carts?
I would always instigate stealing them and then run away and Jimmy would get in trouble.
Yeah, she started, I crashed, and then it kind of went downhill.
Well, you know what? Before we get much further, we do have an empty chair here, and that does feel even a little too odd for the Addams family. So I do want to maybe. Do we have one more member of the Addams family we could bring up? Yeah, I think we do. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how about Uncle Fester himself, Christopher? So, Chris, were you up to some Uncle Fester stuff? Doing Uncle Fester stuff? You were up to some Uncle Fester stuff before you came up on the stage? Yeah. We were speaking earlier about the experience of making this movie and that sort of family feel, and it does feel appropriate then to acknowledge somebody that's not with us, who's Raul Julia, who's just so incredible. I want to start off here by talking about what your memories of working with Raul were, and what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that experience? There it is.
He was always first on set, last to leave. He was incredibly amenable. He'd do anything you asked him to. He was a great dancer. I'd get really grumpy around dancing rehearsals, which I felt were unnecessary because I was such an excellent dancer. And he would insist on being there on time and staying all the way through. He was consummate professional, really great, really fun, and he'd always sing between scenes, between takes. We always would sing full opera, so he kept us entertained.
Christopher, how about you? Do you have any strong memories of Raul?
I remember his scene. He did a lot of scenes in some Broadway musicals. Mr.
Don Quixote.
A bunch. But I remember once we had a scene when it was like nighttime, Italy, on those, something like a
They were always in the cavern.
Yes. And it was very romantically lit. And when nobody was shooting, down how to see these eyes. And it was so beautiful and romantic and really wonderful. He had a big, big heart, very warm person, very loving.
And Christina and Jimmy, how about you? Did he serve as sort of like was there like any father figure stuff coming from him as well? Any lessons learned there?
Well, yes. As we've already covered, he loved singing. That was amazing. He used to play, at least with me, he used to play jacks and cards. chase me around, not telling me when I did something wrong, which was pretty much 99.9% of the time. All around, he was just a great man. I mean, I can tell you, I'm half Greek and my grandparents came from Greece. We were shooting in Burbank, I think it was by the golf course, the facade of the house. During lunch, he actually scaled the side of the hill with my grandmother, picking what he perceived to be a spinach, which probably could have been, could not have been, but that just kind of showed you what type of person he was, caring, and just wanted to be involved in the part of things. That's the man I know and remember.
Yeah, he was really, really incredible. He was just such a brilliant actor and so much fun to be around, so charming. And yeah, he sung opera at the top of his lungs and danced, and he taught us Puerto Rican songs. And then he also seemed to he was just so empathetic and generous, and I think he could tell sometimes when we as kids were nervous. And I remember several times feeling really nervous, and he would call me over and start singing a song with me or teaching me a little dance or something to just make things easier for me and sort of break up how anxious I was. And he was just so lovely and warm. Really incredible man.
How about for you, Carl? Any Raoul memories come to mind?
Well, apart from this wonderful singing repertoire of all the songs another memory I have of him is after the movie we had to do all these press junkets, and he got mad as hell about that. Because it went on from 7 in the morning till somewhere in the evening. So at a certain point he grabbed me and said, "Come, we're gonna go to the bar." So we sat in the bar and he said, "This is all on the Paramount stand. So what is the most expensive bottle you have here?" And so we drank a bottle of very expensive cognac. And even though I'm not an enthusiastic drinker of liquor, of course I couldn't pass up on this one.
I love that everybody seems to have a little bit of a mischievous streak. It fits. Angelica, you and I were talking a little bit backstage about one of my favorite aspects of Morticia, and it's this intensity that comes through her eyes. And you've talked in the past about how you found a lot of delivering Morticia coming through the eyes. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how hard it was to maybe focus on that aspect of your performance when there was so much craziness going on around you, staying locked into Morticia like that?
Well, initially I tried to evoke with my body, which was very difficult because my dress was very restrictive. So you'll see in the first Addams Family, I turned my entire body when I'm supposed to just turn my head. So that became a thing. So, for instance, if I was working with Christopher, full half circle, and then it occurred to me that I didn't have to do that I could actually make a shorthand out of it. And so I wound up just doing half of what I normally would do. And it seemed to work, so it got less and less, and the lesser it got, the more Barry Sonnenfeld would compensate by lighting me a certain way. So in the end, he used what he called a tweenie, which is a light, a small light, that just illuminated my eyes, and so I basically didn't have to do much. and that was really convenient.
And Christopher, something that I notice from a lot of the characters that you have played is that they cut an immediately recognizable silhouette. When I think of Judge Doom, when I think of Doc Brown, these are characters that have an instantly recognizable look. And I want to know for Fester, he also has that very iconic sort of potato sack dress that he wears. Was that helpful getting into that costume for finding who Fester was? Or did you already have a pretty good idea of how you wanted to play the character?
Yes, a bit of both. I mean, certainly, I'm not rotund.
Not quite the same body shape as Fester.
No, so I had some kind of heavy, so, and that just helps me get there.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty good idea, but I kind of grew up on I used to see Charles Addams, was always movies and Fester would be there. I had a fondness. I enjoyed his wickedness, his brand wickedness.
Did anyone else find getting into... Oh, I was going to ask, did anybody else find getting into their costume for the first time, like getting an insight into your character that maybe you didn't when you first read it? Like, did you learn anything about your character when you first got into that costume? No. Cool.
I had shorts and black and white striped shirt.
Well, this is what I want.
Mine was kind of easy.
Yours in particular, Jimmy, the note that I took while I was watching the first two movies, just in big letters, Pugsley is a style icon. Crushed red velvet, he's got that little weird frocked thing, shorts with everything. It kind of feels like anything Pugsley wears, you could show up to the Met Gala and just be fine. There's a lot of good style in this movie. Christina, I do want to talk to you real briefly about the fact that you serve as this really important bridge, I think, between sort of multiple generations of the Addams Family, the way that we experience that franchise. You appear in Wednesday as Marilyn there, and I want to know how it felt for you. I want to know how it felt for you personally, being able to be that kind of bridge and how it was being on that set for you.
Well, I mean, I don't see myself as a bridge. Unfortunately, I don't have that sort of objectivity and perspective. I was thrilled to work with Tim again and to get to go and be, on in the Wednesday show. It was really fun. It was exciting, and I loved this experience. And I loved playing Wednesday, but I would have to be a sociopath to be able to view myself as a bridge.
Well, we'll leave that to. I think it's probably fair to say that a lot of the Wednesday fans out there were probably very delighted to see you, giving the Wednesday stamp of approval there. So I think everyone's pretty grateful for that. Carl, for you, another thing that I noticed watching these movies, just the fine detail of it all, is the way that Lurch is used to get in and out of scenes in these really funny ways, whether it's you doing something, as simple as dusting, or something way more weird and that's just in the background. Do you have any memories of stuff like that you shot that maybe didn't make it into the movie that you wish had? Any of those small Lurch moments? Or do you have a favorite Lurch moment in the movie?
The most memorable was when I had darts thrown at me. Yeah.
The darts. Actually, that reminds me, Christopher, there's another instance of a near miss coming at somebody's head, just like the dart thing. There's a scene in the first movie where Raoul flips you over and then throws a knife at your head. And usually what I would have thought was, oh, they reversed the footage. But it doesn't actually look like it does. Do you remember how Barry shot that scene of that knife coming so close to your head?
In fact, I haven't followed that here until just now.
It's so close to your eyeball, it is very uncomfortable for me.
I should
Should remember a knife coming that close. Well, Angelica, I want to ask you, something I heard you say recently is that you're a big fan of another big family from TV, the Schitt's Creek, the Rose family. You're a big Schitt's Creek fan. And something occurred to me, there is actually a lot of crossover between the Rose family and the Addams family. They're both kind of fish out of water. Everyone else kind of sees them as strange. Do you think that Moira and Morticia would have been friends if they lived in the same town? It kind of seems like those two characters would have a lot to talk about.
I think they'd have been sisters.
Yeah, Morticia, yeah, Moira, they almost sound like sisters.
Yeah, definitely. And also for myself, I have to say that one of my most amused moments was seeing Uncle Fester with the 2 straws coming out of his nose when he's trying to enchant Debbie in number 2. I thought it was incredibly charming.
Do you have any on you right now, Christopher? Any breadsticks to put in your nose? Did you bring them with you? You didn't get my text? I want to talk now real quick. Another one of the elements of this movie that I think people overlook, another member of the family, is Thing. How difficult, like, do any of you have any strong memories of seeing a Thing scene filmed and wondering, like, how is this going to look in the movie? Because all there's more practical effects that go into it than you would think, you know? Yeah. Is there like a specific, does everyone have like a favorite Thing moment in the movie?
I was the opposite. I'd get really mad when the Thing was working because he took forever. And I'd be stuck in my dress in my trailer counting the hours. And the Thing would just go on working and working and working. And finally I'd call Barry and say, I have to talk to you. And he'd show up with Scott Rudin in my trailer with bad excuses as to why Thing wasn't working. And sometimes it took hours. And got really mad.
Another thing about the Addams Family that I really, really enjoy is its relationship. I'm gonna throw the word out there. Its relationship to the word normal, and what the Addams Family has to say about the idea of what being normal is. And for each of you, maybe what does that conjure for you? Like, what does the Addams Family represent to you in terms of that family unit?
I mean, we always sort of said, or I feel like I've heard people say that a lot, just that they, in a lot of ways, they are a perfect family because they accept each other for who they are, they accept themselves for who they are, and they're kind and loving and generous with each other, genuinely. So, you know.
Another scene that I really, really enjoy from the Addams Family, and I think it kind of speaks to this idea of normality and how the Addams Family relate to it, is the school play scene from the first movie, in which Jimmy and Christina here both go at each other with swords and lots of fake blood ensues. Do you have any, was that a fun scene to film, or was working with all the fake blood in that scene like kind of overwhelming?
Really great. We had a really good time.
That was a
It
lot
was
of fun.
really fun.
I will tell you though,
You
that
could
stuff
point your
stinks.
blood. You could point your blood at people. Spray them with it.
And it would take them 3 days to remove it.
Yeah, at that time they didn't have the blood they have now that's easy to remove. And I'm so scarred by this that still to this day, when I'm working, they're like, we're gonna put blood on you. I'm like, no, we have new stuff. But at the time, it was like corn syrup and red food dye.
Yep.
So you would literally stay in your front. So we were red for a very long time afterwards.
And even more fun part is I think we had to do the fencing.
Yeah.
That
No, the
training for the
fencing
fencing,
and
that was
the yeah. It was good.
There's a lot of fence, a lot of swordplay in these movies. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about here is this is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who, of course, this was Barry Sonnenfeld's first movie that he directed. Shot a lot of movies for the Coen brothers before that, including Raising Arizona, which I think is one of the most visually impressive comedies ever, and he really brings that visual flair to the Addams Family. How much of an impact do you think Barry's eye had on the lasting effect of the Addams Family?
I think it had a huge effect. I mean, he shot it in such an iconic way. You know, like I'm not a photographer, so I don't have the vocabulary to discuss it. But you know, all the frames are really strong, impactful, sort of iconic images, and you know, even when you like, in the same way that Raising Arizona is very iconically shot. But yeah, I think his eye, and he was the director, his direction had a ton to do with how lasting this movie was for people, or these movies.
Another question I have here is, because each member of the Addams Family is so distinct and iconic in their own rights, for each of you, I'd like to know if there's anything that you see out in the world that immediately conjures your character to mind for you. Like Angelica, when you're out and about, is there anything that you see that instantly reminds you of Morticia?
Well, just finding moments of amusement in places where they don't belong. So, basically inappropriate humor. And whenever I see a tight dress behind a dark spectacles, it had a lot to do with discomfort under pressure. And also, I think having a perfect relationship with my opposite, with my in this case, my Romeo.
What goes on behind the doors of that house is nobody's business. Nobody's business. Christopher, how about for you? What brings Fester to mind for you out in the world?
I kind of joined him when I was watching the cartoons. He wasn't out to cause harm or mayhem. He was kind of more subtle than that. He liked pranks, I felt. He liked to do things that might screw up your day, but really there was no big injury. But little things, I can't think of one of them.
Christina, how about you? Yeah.
Something like that, so, yeah.
Christina, how about you? What brings Wednesday to mind for you when you're out and about?
I think one of the main things about Wednesday that's always stayed with me is that, you know, it's a little girl that's so true to herself and so able to stand up for herself. And so I always think about Wednesday when I fail at doing that. Like when somebody tells me, like, you know, somebody tells you to smile or something, and I'm like, I always think, oh, what a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, Wednesday would never have done that. So, those kinds of things always remind me of her.
Jimmy, how about anything bring Pugsley to mind for you when you're out and about?
My answer's simple: a missing stop sign and screeching tires.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's one of the moments in the movie, and there's a few of these, but that moment where Pugsley walks in with the stop sign, those are moments that directly recreate the art of Charles Addams, and I think that's the sort of thing that when you keep returning to these movies, you notice that, and again, it speaks to that attention to detail that Barry had in putting it together. And Carl, what brings Lurch to mind for you when you're out and about?
What brings Lurch to mind is Lurch. I remember when I arrived in Hollywood, people would always walk up to me and say, "Oh, you're Lurch, right?" And I would say, "No, no, no." And sometimes they would get really angry. So when I had my meeting with Barry Sonnenfeld and the producer, it was a very short meeting. I said, "Well, what do you think?" And I told him, I said, "Well, I think it's about time, because that's what they always see in me." And so that was it.
Christopher, for you, another thing that I really like about Fester across both Addams Family and Addams Family Values is that in the first movie, he is a con man. He is running a con on the Addams Family. But in the second movie, he is the one being conned. He is the one that thinks that he is in love and is being tricked. I want to know which of those sort of versions of Fester you prefer playing? The tricker or the tricky? The tricker.
I mean, to have tricks played on you is not something you volunteer for. Somebody goes out of the way to make you look like a fool. So where does that leave me?
Another really iconic scene from the first movie that I love, Angelica, of yours, is when you are reading to a classroom full of children and really disturbing them and making them cry. And I want to know, first my question is, were you on set with the kids reading all those things at the same time, or did they bring the kids out?
I was on set reading to them. One started to cry, and I thought, oh, here we go. And soon, the entire room, with about 25 children, were screaming. And I could barely continue. I'd forgotten that was still in the movie.
Yes, you are on record, unfortunately, making a room full of children cry. I'm sorry. And speaking of children, I think this is actually a great way into my next question, which is that I certainly started watching The Addams Family when I was very young, and was very enamored with its relationship to darkness and things that may be a little taboo, and the way that it handles those things. And for each of you, I'd like to know why you think that Addams Family is so appealing to kids of a young age. Maybe Angelica, we start with you.
Because we're doing all the wrong things. And getting a lot of attention for it. A lot of good attention.
That's a good point. And Christopher, I know you mentioned that you were a fan of the Addams Family from a young age, and especially Fester. And so, what was it about Fester as a kid that really connected with you? Like, why did you like Fester especially?
He was kind of a prankster. He had a certain kind of evilness about him, but it wasn't. It was more mischief. And that's kind of fun.
And Christina, I know Wednesday is like a huge role model for a lot of kids. Like, do you think that they come to it looking for almost like permission to be different? Is that something that resonates with you?
Yeah, I'm sure that's it for people in terms of making, if you're going to view her as a role model, I feel like that's the only sort of values she has as a role model, is sort of like being true to who you are, and it's okay to be different, and not pandering to other people and their expectations. But I do, like, to your point about kids loving the Addams Family, I remember showing my son the Addams Family when he was 6. And he just kept looking at me and saying, "Oh, Mom, you're so naughty." Like, he just was so thrilled that all these people were so naughty. Like, he couldn't believe it. So I think that has a lot to do with its appeal for children.
Jimmy, Carl, anything on that? On why kids like the Addams Family so much? Why kids in particular seem to get into the Addams Family at a young age?
I think they all want a family like the Addams Family.
Yeah.
They want to be part of it.
I think that's a very succinct way to put it. I think that everybody, it's the thing that you sort of forget about the Addams Family is that they are incredibly, in their way, very loving and accepting of each other. And I think that even through all the macabre stuff that surrounds that, I think it's nice to sort of come back to that at the end of the day. I do want to, everyone up here has been kind enough to open the floor up to some audience questions. So I wonder if we could maybe get if we have some mics positioned down here. I know we have some fans who would like to ask some questions. Let's go. I see a bright blue Warner Brothers hat right here. You want to give us your name and your question, please? Cool.
It's Nico. Big thank you to for you to be here. I wanted to know, your performance is so unique, so good, each character. So I wanted to know, like, any conversations that you have with the director at the beginning of the film to bring those characters alive. Thank you.
Yeah, any like early conversations with Barry about how you wanted to approach the character? Anyone remember any of those?
First question to Barry, we had a meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I walked in and I sat down, and my first question to him was, "Why not share?" Which he attempted to answer. I don't really remember what he said. He convinced me.
Christopher, do you remember kind of those early conversations with Barry about like how you wanted to approach Fester, and anything that he wanted to do with Fester that you wanted to kind of talk to him about? No. Cool. Anybody else? Any of those early conversations with Barry jump to mind?
I know that they were endlessly trying out little pieces of prosthetics and all kinds of, there was no end to it. And finally, Angelica's personal makeup person said, "Oh, he doesn't need all that stuff. Here, let me do it." And she did a few things with a brush, and there it was.
It is such an iconic look. Do we have? Let's get another question here. How about a green T-shirt right down in front?
Angelica, so for the witches, how uncomfortable or comfortable was the prosthetic?
How comfortable or uncomfortable was the prosthetic in The Witches? That's a lot. That's a lot going on there. How many hours in the makeup chair for that?
About 7 on a good day. No, about 5. And then it was constant having to keep it alive. So, because there'd be long periods where you weren't working or waiting for it. And I'd be in my trailers falling apart. And so it would take a couple of hours of restoration between scenes. And it got very tiring. Not moving was a big factor because there was no way you could jump out of your trailer and go down the street, have a cup of coffee or anything like that. So it was the repetition of having to do nothing that really got to me.
but it paid off because that look is just so incredible. How about you, right here behind? Yeah, hi there. Yeah.
Hi. What part about your characters do you think you relate the most to?
That's a great question. What part of your characters do you relate the most to? What do you see the most in Morticia in you?
Beauty, kindness, gentleness.
What's your most Fester-like quality, Christopher?
I don't know, this drama makes a little trouble.
Christina?
I would say I've never been much of a joiner. Like Wednesday is also not fun.
Yeah, Jimmy?
Oh, the same thing it's always been, this trouble, which I'm still getting into.
And Carl, how about you?
I guess endurance, you have to put up with the family.
Lurch has the most patience of anybody in the Addams family. I think he's got the most patience. All right, let's go. How about glasses right here in the middle?
Yeah, tell us about doing the music video Addams Groove with MC Hammer.
Yes. Addams Groove, the MC Hammer music video. What does everybody remember about that? Christina, you alright? You have some MC Hammer memories?
I still can't dance.
He was really nice. He was really nice to us. Didn't he want us like little mini motorcycle things?
Because they were the motorized little 3-wheel.
Like little ATVs. Yeah. He was really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
That song gets stuck in your head so much. We have another question here. Thank you for the question. How about right here in the middle? Sorry, yes, Sue, yeah, sorry. Black t-shirt, Elvira t-shirt.
Do you feel like there are any movies or TV shows that you were in that you don't get asked about enough, but you really liked being in?
Ooh, that's a good question. Any projects that you've done that don't get brought up to you very often that you wish you could talk about more? Something you're especially proud of? Buckaroo Banzai, maybe. I love Buckaroo Banzai. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody here is pretty psyched about the Addams Family today. I know that. Let's get thank you for the question. How about the lady with the mustache right here? Oh wait, Waluigi specifically. It looks like Waluigi.
Oh my gosh, you guys are all incredible, and gosh, so many movies that I love. I have 2 questions. One for Angelica. I wanted to know what type of dates do you think Gomez took you on as Morticia to woo you? And then for Christopher, I love you in Taxi, and it's such a great show. And I wanted to know what characters attract you when you're reading a script or when you hear about them.
So we'll start with Angelica. So that question was, what dates Morticia and Gomez went on, do you think? What kind of, like some like grave robbing maybe? Moonlit grave robbing?
Probably a bit of grave robbing. Mostly flirtatious, unspoken, very private.
And then Christopher, that question for you was, what do you look for in a script that really kind of catches your eye and makes you want to do it? Yeah, just look for something.
Microphone! We can't hear.
Into the mic. All right, do we have any more questions here? How about this guy right down here?
This question is mostly for Christina and Jimmy. Christina, that character, Wednesday, is basically my love for gothic girls. That character I grew up with. Anyway, how was it filming that scene, the Thanksgiving scene, basically right now in October, almost, November? How was it filming that scene where the whole scene where you guys take over the camp, basically?
Which scene? I'm so sorry, I can't hear you.
Family Values?
Yeah, which scene? The camp scene?
The Thanksgiving camp scene.
Okay.
The
It
music.
was really fun. There was a lot of special effects. There was fire. I got to light a match off of my shoe, which I'd always wanted to do. Yeah, it was great. It was really fun.
I know we have it. Can we get a mic down to this side? I know we have a couple questions coming from over here. How about the guy in the green hat right here? Yeah.
My question is, what was your favorite scene from the movies? Mine was Gomez and Fester dancing the Mamushka.
Dancing the Mamushka. So favorite scene from either of the Addams Family movies? Do you have one, Angelica?
I love giving birth. So easy. And basically it was like a hiccup. It was really delightful to do. And it signaled the start of the second Addams Family. I love it.
Do you have a favorite scene, Christopher?
Mamushka doing that role, revolving love, choreography, and a lot of fun.
How about you, Christina?
I just remember really loving that last scene with Joan Cusack, where she's ranting about her childhood as Debbie. I remember filming that and just really enjoying watching her give that.
Jimmy, how about you? A favorite scene?
Probably the turkey dance. Not to fall over. So I was trying to remember how to do it.
Yeah.
And not to tip.
I love that scene. Oh my gosh. Carl, how about you?
Trying to hand out candy on Halloween with all the kids running away. That actually happened to me. I was opening the door with my daughter, who was this size for them, and all the kids ran away screaming. That's an experience.
Connected that way. We have time for one more question. Let's go. I see green hair. I see some green hair over there. Yeah. Or the light. No, oh yeah. Then maybe it's not green. Maybe the light's hitting. The white shirt right there on the left. Yep. Hi. Yes. Yep.
I just want to thank you for the inspirations. I'm from Brazil, so for me it's very great to see you guys in person, and I just want to say thank you.
All the way from Brazil. Wow. Well, you know what? Hey, well, why don't we all thank the Addams Family here for joining us. Have a great time. We'll see you later. We're going to do a quick photo here real quick if you guys are okay.
And we just kind of like walked around and checked out some vendors. They had a big gaming section. It was really cool. They were doing this all-female gamer like session of gaming that just looked so cool. This is something I want to see in my future for myself. I want to go to a convention as a gamer and just game, especially in a league of all women. Goals, vibe, let me in, let me join, please. So I hope you enjoyed this video for the LA Comic-Con that I went to today, and here is a bunch of footage, and I hope you enjoy it. We out here. I don't know if you can hear me because it's loud. But we are out here.
creative and living in your fantasies. I think those are the most precious things humans have. And just liking the show is a connection to something greater than us. And not that the show is, you know what I mean? I just think our imaginations are important, and I hope you encourage your imagination. We're all things.
Yeah.
Thanks. I need to
I second that. I think that, you know, we have the best fans in the world, and I'm always like super impressed with how creative. I mean, we've seen, you know, the homoerotic art online, and it is so good. It's so good. I encourage you to continue